Hello, everyone. Happy New Year, wealth hackers. This is Erwin Cito bringing you another episode of the Truth About Real Estate Investing show. Yes, I know it's February. Still wishing you happy Chinese New Year, actually, as my family calls it, and happy Lunar New Year to everyone else who's celebrating the same calendar. This year is the year of the ox, and an ox kind of looks like a bull. Actually, a friend mistakenly said bull instead of ox, which would be appropriate for us wealth hackers who are experiencing a bumper year. Real estate's on fire if you bought right. The stuff that everyone wants, not just the stuff that there's plenty of supply of. A close friend of mine, she's a French teacher, messaged me asking if she should join Cherry's free demonstration of Stock Hacker Academy. I told her I can't recommend it enough. These are historic times with all the stimulus money that's being injected into the financial markets, which in turn has given us a serious bull market in the stock market. The U.S. in particular is planning a $1.9 trillion stimulus plan to try and get the economy back to normal. That's what Janet Yellen was saying. She's in the U.S. government, and they're planning to get the U.S. economy back to normal. Anyways, I don't know what the new normal looks like, but I do know that printing more money will devalue the dollar. We're not any different in Canada. We're printing money like crazy. We will drive up the prices of hard assets. So with interest rates so low, the smart money doesn't want to hold cash. Hence, the smart money will invest in hard assets like Elon Musk's company Tesla, who just purchased $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. And then for our smaller investors, real estate makes a lot less sense. I'll continue to be strategic personally and invest in hard assets like real estate. We have no plans to divest anything. We will actually look at opportunities as they come in. And we have a little bit of Bitcoin and I'll stock hack for cash flow. In the good news front, we at Stock Hacker Academy are happy to announce that we are making a $10,000 donation to the Hamilton Basket Brigade. That is only the second 5-figure donation in the history of the charity. The corporate trading account that Cherry used to trade, now I've taken it over. That corporation belongs to Stock Hacker Academy, and in January, Cherry and I decided to donate 20% of our corporate trading profits. So as we grow Stock Hacker Academy, the Wealth Hacker Conference, as we help more hardworking Canadians create cash flowing side hustles, we will reinvest those company profits and make a regular donation to the charity. Again, that'll be 20% of corporate trading profits. $10,000 will allow us to outfit 100 underprivileged boys and girls of Hamilton with a winter coat, boots, hats, mitts, and a hoodie. So again, that's winter coat, boots, hats, mitts, and a hoodie for 100, and each 100 kids, each of those 100 boys and girls, each get one of each. So this is the greatest country in the world. However, it is darn cold in the winter, and I get upset when I hear about children showing up to school in worn out shoes, or refugee children showing up to the country and school with a winter coat. Real estate for wealth, stock hacking for cash flow. To learn for free how we invest in our children using the number one investment strategy, learn more. So this is real estate, learn more at www.investortraining.ca. To learn how my friend Joel, who is the owner of the number one downloaded podcast in 2020, he's 32 years old from North Bay, Ontario, with no prior experience, how he was able to cash flow $400 per month on just $10,000. We are only offering one more free demo for the year. We only have one more planned right now. Again, we're going to be sharing Joel's story, how he was able to cash flow $400 a month with a $10,000 bankroll. Please register at www.stockhackeracademy.ca/demo. And that is on February 25th, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, that's stockhackeracademy.ca/demo. No, we don't make the recordings available. We literally update this slide presentation every time as new information is available. So we don't make the recording available. So on to this week's show. This week we have Joe Morden on. Who recently retired from his sweet paying government/union job to invest in Windsor, Ontario, for real estate. And he's also stock hacking for additional cash flow to make a living. So he gave up his pension too. But more importantly, what he was trying to accomplish was to spend more time with his 3 kids and his lovely wife. Joe shares the networks that he belongs to help him on his journey, the connections that he made, Folks, this is a team sport. No one does this alone. Having friends that are on the same journey really helps. Joe shares again the networks that he belongs to. He shares some of his numbers from his flips and duplex conversions, and what life is like from after retiring from a career that he's had for over a decade. I give you Joe Morden. Hello, Joe. What's keeping you busy these days?
A little bit of everything, I find. Got a little bit of property management going on with my properties, a little bit of options trading. I just bought my first flip, so that's keeping me a little bit busy. And three young boys between the ages of 2 and 7 are keeping me very busy.
All boys.
Yes.
You keep trying for a girl?
No, we're done. Third time's a charm. We gave it a shot, but it didn't happen. So fine. We're comfortable.
Oh man, my neighbors, it was like the worst timing ever. They already had 5 kids.
Wow.
Already had 5 kids, and then they had the last set triplets, and they
Oh.
gave birth to them during the pandemic.
I can't imagine. I mean, having just a newborn during this pandemic, I know it's been hard for my brother had one, and it's been difficult on them. Just the families,
Yeah.
Trying to get around, but they got to be cautious. And
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine having triplets. I mean, the amount of help that you need when you have, and
Yeah.
if you already had 5 kids, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy. They have like a commercial vehicle to like, because
Oh,
the
yeah.
minivan's not enough, right?
Yeah.
If they drive around in like a commercial vehicle. I wonder if they need a different license for that. Nah, I'm sure it's fine. So how did this all start? Like, when did you buy your first investment property?
It would have been 2012. My brother was living out west at the time and wanted to move back into Windsor. And I always thought real estate was a good play, and I never jumped in. So when he was coming back, he needed a little bit of help financially, and I think he needed that push into buying his own house for the first time. So we partnered on a duplex. So he lived in one unit, and we fixed up the other unit and then rented it out.
Mm-hmm.
About 2 years later, he said to me, he's like, we have a lot of equity built into this house. And then that was kind of the light bulb that went off. It's like, wow, we refinanced this property, and kind of took off from there.
What do you do for what was your day job? We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
My day job was working for the local utility company here in Windsor.
Uh-huh. And that comes with a pension, probably, doesn't it?
Yep. It was a great job. Probably one of the top 2 or 3 pensions in all of Ontario. A 6-figure job. The problem with it was shift work. So we were working 12-hour days, and we were working weekends, midnights, day shift.
Right.
Kind of like a nurse.
Right. Was that
Yeah,
difficult?
so that was hard on the
family
family.
life then? Yeah.
It was very difficult for family life, for sure. Yeah.
What about your own health?
Yeah. Lack of sleep. I mean, especially with the rental properties. So I would work a midnight shift, and then I'd be going to renovate a property after midnight shift for 4 hours, and then going home to sleep before the kids got home. So yeah, it wasn't a real healthy lifestyle, for sure.
Yeah, the sacrifices we make for money.
Yeah. I like to think sacrifices you make for time. I put the time in before, for the last few years. Now I'm reaping those benefits.
Right. And so something we haven't expressed to the listener yet is you since retired.
Yeah, I like to call it retirement, or some people say I just quit because I'm too young to retire. But yeah, I basically quit my job a couple months ago.
What did people say? What did your wife say? 3 boys at home.
You'd be surprised. It actually was her idea. About 2 years ago, she said to me, she's like, let me take a step back. For about 5 years, while I was building the real estate, she wasn't really involved into it. And then something clicked with her. We took a course together, and the course was kind of educating everyone on real estate. And she kept looking at me saying, "Oh, you're already doing this. Wow, you're already doing this." And it really got her on board. And about a few months after taking that course, she kind of sat down and said, "Wow, I think you should retire in a year or two." And
Oh, was that early the planning started?
yeah, yeah. So it really was her idea. She was the one that gave me the push for it. So um, I was the more conservative one, thinking, "Oh my God, like you're pregnant and you want me to quit." But it actually kind of worked out good. I took a leave of absence from work, so I had a little bit of a head start on trying it out and seeing if I could make it work or not.
Fantastic. And then what did you do during that leave of absence?
Bought 3 properties and
It-
just renovated them, and yeah, and babysat.
So 3 properties. What style were they?
They were all duplexes.
Right. Was it a single family home that you converted to a duplex, or are they already duplexes?
No, they were already duplexes. So we
What
just
was this?
bought them.
Uh-huh.
Or just bought them, rented them out, and just the burr strategy on them.
So so for the listener, let's try to paint a mental picture of what style of home these are. Because most people listen, and also we don't have any pictures to show people. But, what's the layout of these duplexes?
Typically, they're 2 or 3 bedroom, main floor, and then same thing. They were all purpose built. So
Oh,
2 or 3 bedroom upstairs. Yeah. So 2 bed or 3 bed, 1 bath for all of them.
how old were these properties? It's not common to see purpose-built duplexes. Like I know it's all the rage in like Edmonton, for example, but you don't see them much in Ontario.
Actually, now that I think about it, they probably weren't purpose built. They've been like that for 60 years or 50.
Okay.
They probably weren't purpose built,
Right.
but they've been a duplex for a long time.
Right.
That were in dire need of some renovation.
So these were like 1950s bungalows, like everyone else is doing over.
No, it'd be a 2-story. No, it'd be 2-story,
Oh.
like a 1940s 2-story, 1930s 2 stories.
Those aren't as common for duplex conversions. How do you get around the? So where's your entrance for the basement?
So these were existing duplexes, so I didn't have to convert them.
Uh-huh.
And they were like the main floor is 1 unit, and then the upper floor would be the second unit.
Interesting. Was it so? The front of the house, is there 2 doors? One that goes
Yes.
out. Interesting. Yeah, still not that common. I'm gonna need to see some pictures. And these are common for you to buy in Windsor?
They were for a good price. Yeah, it's getting harder to buy them.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
I heard like, oh, you mentioned an education course that you took. Can you give them a shout out? Do you want to give them a shout out?
It was a Keyspire.
Excellent. Because I've heard a lot of Keyspire members go to Windsor.
Yes, I think they started promoting Windsor a couple years ago.
And I have a lot of Keyspire investor friends, like like Savio, and I follow Austin Gay and whatnot, and I have some friends who make offers in Windsor, and it hears like it sounds pretty hot, like as in like double-digit multiple offers.
Oh yeah. The market's been really hot for the last 2 years. It's actually made it very difficult to still make those duplexes work. 2 years ago, we were still getting the 1% rule on our duplexes.
Yeah.
Now, you can't really find that. So it's made it a little bit more difficult. So we've had to pivot our strategy a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So the last property that I bought, we just bought a bungalow and did a suite in the basement.
Mm-hmm.
But
are you doing these renovations yourself?
Not all of them, not the whole renovation, but the majority of it. Yeah.
Oh, so you're handy and you like this?
Yes. Yeah, I do enjoy it. Yeah.
Oh, fascinating. So what do you do and what don't you do then on the renovations?
So I don't do electrical. I typically don't do plumbing, and if I can avoid drywall, if it's a big drywall job, I won't do that. But I enjoy doing the demo, the trim work, hanging doors, even some painting, flooring.
So are you usually by yourself on the property working, or you have help?
For the first couple houses that I partnered with my brother,
Yeah.
we did it together. Now, typically, it's just myself. I've hired a guy, kind of like I have general labor that works with me on some properties.
Mhm.
So when I need his help, I have him come out and
And then where did you learn how to do finishings? YouTube?
you know what? I think it's going way back to my childhood. My
Oh.
dad, we always flipped houses. Like we would live in a house for like a year and then move. And they didn't have a huge income, so that's kind of how we upgraded our houses. And we
Uh-huh.
always had nice houses. We were always working on them. He built a couple houses, and then we would finish the basements. So it was starting out, as young as 12 years old, just kind of learning all that stuff. And I always had an interest in it, so I always
Uh-huh.
looked for an opportunity to do it.
Uh-huh. Sorry, how old were you when you bought that first property with your brother?
I would have been 35.
That was your first investment property. Any regrets of not starting sooner?
Oh God, yes. We look my
You already
my
had all the
first
know-how.
Yeah, yes. My first property that I bought personally, I was 25, and at
Uh-huh.
that time I was looking at a duplex. That's kind of the route I wanted to take, but I was young and I had a lot of people in my ear saying like, "Do you really want to be a landlord? Are you sure you want to go that route?" And I
Yeah,
kind of got talked out of it. And
yeah.
I'm not resentful towards that because I think if things were different, if I would have started when I was 25, things may be a lot different. I may have gotten one property. I may have been too young and too immature to really manage the tenants.
Mhm,
So, I think it all kind of worked out for the best.
mhm.
Yeah.
It's funny because I meet enough real estate investors, especially beginners, and they always have all different types of roadblocks. Like one of them would be is like I'm not handy, right? And like versus you were handy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, so these people that talked you out of it, were they real estate experts? Like they had their own investment properties?
No, no, no. This is like a real estate agent, some family members.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My brother's real estate lawyer tried to talk him out of renting out his what was his principal residence.
Yeah.
Said, "Oh yeah, tenants will trash your place, yada yada yada." I
Yeah.
think my
Actually,
brother made. Sorry, go ahead.
the first property that we bought, the first rental property that we bought, my lawyer at the time said, "You'll be selling this thing in a year. Like you do not want to get into this game."
Is it still your? Is this you still the same lawyer?
No, I've moved on. Our goals didn't exactly align.
Yeah, like like if they have feedback on like specific feedback on like what to watch out for
Hmm.
versus just generic statements without any experience, like that's different,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
versus my real estate lawyer, like he has a team that helps him with his own investing. So like they're professional investors. So I'll listen to that advice. But my brother's lawyer was the junior lawyer for that was the owner's daughter who'd been practicing for maybe 2 years,
Hmm.
giving my brother investing advice
Right.
when it's my brother.
Yeah. Exactly.
And thankfully, he listened to me because I think that property appreciated about $300,000, right? And that was a principal residence exempted property. So um, after tax, it's a good amount of money.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the legal advice was worth what it was worth. Not very much, apparently.
Yeah.
Versus thankfully, my brother listened to me.
Yeah. Yeah. You definitely have to align yourself with people that have the same goals as you, and be cautious of where you're getting your advice from.
Yeah. Yeah, I had the same conversation with one of my young clients. His name is also Joe, and his parents were advising him against real estate, and he was asking me what to do, and I was like, I had that weird moment. It's like, oh my god, this is rich dad poor dad, and I'm your rich dad.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's like, this is just my experiences. This is what I see. you can compare your parents' net worth to mine, and they're a lot older than I am.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you can make your own decisions, right? You're an adult. Thankfully, he did, because I think he's made about $300,000 too.
Nice.
So, so like when you were doing this leave of absence,
Mhm.
did those 3 properties that you did that you invested in during that time, was that sufficient income for you, or it was a combination of that plus your previous properties, or or that in combination with you knowing that you could keep going, you could keep growing?
Kind of, so at that point, before I bought those 3 properties, we had 5 properties.
Mm-hmm.
So the idea was take a leave of absence, purchase a couple more properties and see where I could take it. Um, I had this fallback plan that, I could do some construction on the side. Like, I wanted to be involved in real estate. So we explored a few different things, maybe being a realtor, maybe being an appraiser, um, just being more hands on it. I wanted to be involved in real estate somehow. So that was kind of the plan. Like, if I could just make up, half of my salary in just passive income from real estate,
Mm-hmm.
then, I could make up a little bit more of my salary by
Mm-hmm.
doing more hands-on or being involved in real estate somehow, some way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the
And then at what point did you get into stock hacking?
about 2 months after my leave of absence, I discovered stock hacking, and that kind of threw everything out the window.
Why is
'Cause
that? You
well,
you
because then
must have
that
been
gave me.
skeptical. Who was like
Oh,
everyone was skeptical about this.
I was very skeptical. I have parents and family members that invested in mutual funds that were
Uh-huh.
constantly harping on me, all through my career, even though I had a pension, you should be investing in mutual funds, you should be investing in mutual funds.
Ah.
And then 2008 happened and I saw, my father's retirement account get decimated. And it just, it, mutual funds wasn't hands off enough for me, or was too hands off for me. I didn't have enough control that I didn't feel comfortable just giving somebody tons of money. When I discovered real estate, that's when I felt like, hey, I control this asset. I can control how much rent I'm getting out of it to some extent. I can control the value of it to some extent. So I have a little more control over it. So that's why I loved real estate. I didn't want anything to do with stocks because it was totally out of my control.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
then, you started talking about stock hacking on your podcast, so it piqued my interest.
mhm,
And then when I took the course, then I was all in. I was like, okay, this seems like something I can have some sort of control over.
mhm,
Seems fairly conservative,
mhm,
depending on the strategies you're going to do.
mhm,
Yeah, and then that kind of supplemented a little bit of income for me going
mhm,
forward. I could see that, the potential income that's going to come from stock hacking was going
mhm.
to kind of take away a lot of the hands-on work that I thought I may have to fall back on to supplement
Right,
the rest of the income.
right. And a lot of those, like being a appraiser or a realtor or a contract like renovator, like that's all trading time for money,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Versus you're already on the path of making money in your sleep.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what can you share about your stock hacking experience?
So it started out really good. Like I funded my account in December.
Yeah.
So it started out really good. And then I think it was just like around March 1st, maybe the week after, I tripled the size of my account.
Oh boy.
Yeah. But I hadn't really had an opportunity to actually sell some puts on all that stuff for getting contracts with that money. So March 23rd hit, and I took a little bit of a hit, but not nearly as big as I could have. So I
Yeah.
feel very lucky. Yeah. Um, and then obviously from there till September, I was great. I was making, I think it was around $2,000 a month just on selling puts. Then September hit. We had kind of a rough month in September,
Yeah.
October, leading up to the election. But since then, yeah, it's been good. And even those months, I think it was still in the positives. But yeah, I'm very happy with it. And I think next week I'm doubling the size of my account again.
So wait. You've already tripled it once, and now
Yeah,
you're gonna double it from
double
there.
that. Yeah, yeah.
What does your wife think about all this?
She's kind of, I think, because I was in real estate and she wasn't really paying attention, and then she saw what real estate can do. She's kind of like hands off with the stock hacking. Like I try and talk to her about it a little bit. Like, oh, I sold a put on this, and she's like, I don't want to hear about it. Are we doing all right? I'm like, yeah, we're fine. So I give her a lot of credit. She's pretty hands off, and she gives me a lot of trust.
Amazing. Just quick, curious. How does the stock hacking returns compare to your real estate cash flow? Because like how you've been sharing, and this is very common among investors just outside the GTA. Windsor, of course, is another level outside the GTA, but everyone's cash flow is being squeezed because prices have gone up so much. So it's great for people like all of us who own property, but then to buy the next property, the financials don't look nearly as good. Or when we refinance a property, the financials don't look nearly as good because the rents don't keep up with prices.
Yeah, it is a tough little balancing act that we're at
Yeah.
right now. Like, do I invest $80,000 into a property
Mhm.
and see a small return, or do I put that money into the market,
Mhm.
into my account,
Mhm.
sell some puts against it? So it is a little bit of a balancing act right now. I'm trying to do both and keep both up and running and going.
Mhm.
If I can pull some cash out of my stock hacking to fund the real estate, that's kind of how I want to do it, because I
Mhm.
still am bullish on real estate, for the wealth creation,
Mhm.
but for the cash flow aspect of it, which I'm now relying on a little bit as income. I think that'll always be there. I'm always going to rely on that, hopefully, as long as everything
Mhm.
keeps going the way it is. Yeah.
Mhm. Joe, how old are you now?
43.
Retired at 43. You beat me to it.
It's actually on my
I'm
birthday.
41. I'm
My
41.
Oh,
Sorry?
okay. My 43rd birthday is when I handed in my resignation.
Wow. What did they say?
Uh,
You're
so
nuts. You'll be back.
no, not really. At first they were surprised that I was taking a leave of absence. About 8 months into that leave, I asked for an extension for another 4 months. And so when I asked for that extension, they said they kind of figured I wasn't coming back.
Mm.
But they were pretty surprised. They think I'm crazy. Most people think I'm crazy, giving up a pension and all that kind of stuff.
How does the pension work out then? Like, what did you give up?
Well, I gave up 60% of my best 5 years. So if I would have worked for another 12 years, I would have been guaranteed 60% of my best 5 years. So if I made $100,000 for 5 years straight, I would have made $60,000 per year for the rest of my life.
That's pretty good income for
Yeah,
life.
yeah, yeah.
Sorry, how
But
many
the
more
way I
years
looked at it,
how many more years did you
12,
have to
twelve more
that's a
years.
long time.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So I looked
how
at
did you
it
look at
like
it?
the
Sorry.
pension wasn't worthless. So when I quit, I got some pension money. So some of that money is going to be invested in stock hacking, like selling naked puts. Some of it has to be locked into an account, like a Lira account.
Uh-huh.
But even within that Lira account, there are things I can do that, to me, like, once again, it's about giving me the power over my money.
Mhm.
So I'm quite confident that I can grow that. I can't touch that money until I'm 55, but that's
Mhm.
only 12 years. I
Mhm.
can turn that into a pretty substantial amount for the next
Mhm.
12 years.
Mhm.
Because that's my plan. That's how I envision it. And it's really about taking ownership of your own money and your own financials.
Uh-huh. Did you do any stock stuff? Like you mentioned how your story, how you had family members, decimated financially in 2008, 2009. I lost a whack of money. I had one stock that went to zero because they got delisted. so so aren't you feeling crazy to be doing all this? How can you take control? How do you think you take? What's your plan for your lira?
Well, I think I can buy stocks. Like I've done a little bit of training on reading charts and stuff like that, so I think I can take advantage of purchasing stocks at the right price point, selling
Uh-huh.
covered calls on them,
Uh-huh.
doing some of that with the lira money.
Right.
Also, potentially lending it out for private mortgages. Yeah,
Mm,
so that's kind of my plan. We'll lend some out for private mortgages, do some covered calls.
love it. Love it.
Yeah,
All this, your money making you money.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, I don't personally don't do private lending. I'm too lazy. My stock hacking returns have been significant, so I don't. You've probably seen me post. I kind of joke about, what's a first mortgage pay?
Yeah,
Oh, I
yeah,
made that in a week. You got to pay that in a
yeah,
year. That's great.
yeah,
I jest, folks. I jest.
yeah.
Everything
I think for
everything's everything's
yeah,
great.
I think yeah, I think for me it's like because I haven't really delved into the covered call strategy,
Hmm.
and I want to be able to hedge it a little bit. So I'll take like half of that money and put it in private mortgages, take the other half and work on the covered call strategy for a little bit and see, kind of see what returns I get on with both things. And if I'm getting better on the covered call strategy after a year or two, then maybe I move everything over
Hmm.
and manage it myself. Right.
Hmm.
At least now I have the power to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And you've educated yourself way more than ever, I'm guessing.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Maybe just hang on to those covered calls until well after President Biden signs that stimulus bill. Who
Yes,
knows
I
where the
know.
ceiling is on this
Yeah.
thing? These are historic
Yeah.
times.
Yeah.
And the funny thing I've heard
Yeah.
from people is, like when they hear about that I'm doing stuff with the stock markets, they're like, oh, anyone can make money in the stock markets with this in the bull phase that we're in. And then my retort is, well, how much are you making? And like they're not in the market. Uh, and fun useless fact of the day was, when I first learned of this strategy, when my friend told me about it, and the words out of my mouth were, "We have to share this with the world." Right? Those are the first words, and also we rushed the first beta course because I knew the crash was coming. So I knew that everyone needed to be prepared for that moment after March 23rd, which happens to be my birthday. Everyone needed to be
Oh,
prepared for
really?
that day. Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. So it's very easy for me to remember. For the listener, March 23rd was
Yeah.
the bottom of the market, was the bottom
Or
of the
when
crash.
I'm
To me, it was strategic that we learn these strategies ASAP because I felt the crash was coming. Of course, I didn't predict the virus was coming, nor that I predicted that would be the trigger, but I knew a crash was coming. So I felt
Mhm.
I knew that we all needed to be armed with this knowledge for this period that we've been in for the last 6 months. And also, I'm still learning way more, trying to get ready before Biden signs that stimulus bill. So people say, yeah, you're just anyone can do what you're doing. Well, are you doing it? And to me, this
Exactly.
is
Yeah.
strategic.
Yeah.
To me, this is completely strategic.
Yeah.
And I even say in our
You
free
gotta
training
take you
courses,
gotta take
yeah, you got to take the action, right?
you gotta take
I
action.
I tell people all the time, I'm not a brilliant real estate investor. I just figured more people want to rent from me and more people want to buy my house because of the way immigration goes and the way interest rates are going, right? I'm no genius. Anyone can do this. You're actually
Yeah, I
better than
say
I
the
am
same.
because you know how to do stuff. Like hang drywall. I don't know how to do that. Trim, man. I remember painting trim in my first house, and we gave up so fast.
Yeah.
Being on your hands and knees painting floor
Yeah.
trim, like, and then
Yeah.
like screw this, and then that trim didn't get painted until we were ready to sell the house.
Yeah.
That was my commitment to
I always
renovation.
say like I know Yeah. People always say like, "Oh, how do you know how to do this? How do you know how to do that?" I always feel like it's just about trying. Like I'll try something and learn it, and if I don't do it correctly, then I'll do it again. But I enjoy learning in general. So if I
Uh,
don't know how to do something,
uh-huh,
you know, I enjoy giving it a try.
mhm,
And hanging drywall is not, brain surgery. So, and not to disrespect anybody that hangs drywall, but you know what I mean? Anyone can do it if you have the will or the want to learn
mhm,
how to do it.
mhm,
And if you don't have the will or the want, nothing against you. I mean, it's a hard job to do. So it's not for everyone to give it a try.
mhm,
But for me, I don't mind. I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing like what I can do and what the final product is.
mhm,
And I think the satisfaction comes from like showing tenants the property, and they all walk in and they're just awed by how nice it looks. And I
mhm,
get a lot of satisfaction out of that. It also, to me, helps with like the tenant being responsible in my property. I find that the nicer I make my units, the better upkeep they take of the property, or the more respect they have for it,
mhm.
which goes a long way.
I've hung drywall before. I actually think everyone should learn to at least try some of these things. So then it helps me express gratitude for when people do it for me. Like I've helped one of our
For
contractors
sure.
hang drywall on the ceiling, which is a which is a very challenging thing to do, with your arms over your head the whole
Yeah,
time,
for
and
sure.
often you're resting the
Sore.
drywall on your head.
Yeah,
Right? It's not an enjoyable
yeah, yeah,
experience. Right.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So you mentioned that you do a lot of learning. Can you share some of your sources, books, courses, memberships?
The last course, so I just took a course on how to read charts a little bit better with Mike. Mike screw up his last name, Iliani or Iliano.
Hmm.
I think he's a former guest of your podcast a couple times actually.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
so I took that chart training with him.
Hmm.
Um, it was very reasonably priced. Like within 3 weeks of learning with him, I had paid for the course already. Um, so it was great. Like it was like free information for me
I
as far as I'm
know.
concerned. Yeah. I belong to like Wind City. Windsor has like an investors group, so we call it Wind City Investors Club, which is put on by Savio, who's also a former guest, I believe, on your
Hmm.
podcast.
Hmm.
Yeah,
He's a client too. He owns a house in Hamilton.
yeah, that's right.
A
Yeah,
really good
yeah,
one.
yeah. Yeah, and then the Keyspire thing, and then just so much of my I really attribute a lot of what I've done to podcasts like yours and a few others that I listen to. Um, I feel like you're just like I inundate myself with real estate information and now invest just general investment information,
Mhm.
and it just keeps it's like the horse with the blinders on, right? You're just constantly paying attention to strategies, and even if it's something that you already know, like now there's not a whole lot of real estate stuff um, that is new to me, other than maybe apartment buildings and large multifamily, but it's not something I'm really ready to jump into anyway. So just listening about other people's experiences doing the same thing that I'm doing just keeps me focused on things. So I really get a lot of value from podcasts, audiobooks, stuff like that.
Cool. You'll
Yeah,
you'll like David Sun's podcast that we released last week. Because
did
he
I listened to it? Yeah,
that wild.
yeah, it's crazy. That guy sounds like a very busy guy.
He wants to think that he needs to give up his day job so he can grow these other side hustles that are like already very successful.
I know. When I was listening to it, I kept thinking back to myself, like, why isn't this guy retired and why am I retired? Like, this guy's really hustling, and I feel like I'm not doing anything.
Man, yeah. No, like guys, I had some people comment like this guy doesn't sleep.
Yeah, yeah,
No, it's impressive to see what other people are doing, and but yeah, but then the challenge in that is like I don't know what his level of balance is, so I'll probably ask him that next time on when he comes on the show. But his hedge fund, from what he explained, was that it's pretty passive, right? There are times when he always carries his laptop with him in case that moment happens. Those special times where you have to intervene. So,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
yeah, I should probably do that more too. Because I'm not always a fan of trading on my phone. I should probably
Yeah.
keep my laptop with me. Oh, bad habit. I can make a note. So what's life like now? What would you tell? Because a lot of people listen to this show looking to have what you have, right? A
Mhm.
portfolio of properties and income streams that provide them freedom, right?
Mhm.
Like, what's it like now? Did
Well,
you have financial worry before?
no, not really. Um, like my wife has a good job. She's a teacher, and
Hmm.
I had a good job, so we didn't really have that financial worry. Um, it was more about the time, working the shift work, working weekends. Um, because I was working 12-hour shifts, I'd leave for work at 6 in the morning, and I wouldn't get
Hmm.
home till almost 8 o'clock at night. I
Right.
wouldn't see my kids for 4 days,
Yeah.
literally 4 days in a row of not seeing them. So that's the biggest change. I get up like every morning. I'm dropping them off at school. I'm picking them up most days if need be. So it's just being a present dad to them.
Hmm.
I haven't missed baseball. Actually, we didn't have baseball this year, but I haven't missed a hockey practice or a game. Whereas before, I was missing like every second one. So
Hmm.
as far as the family life is concerned, I'm just and more be more present with my wife. She had a hard time with 3 kids, and she was with them for 12 hours all weekend,
Hmm.
Saturday, Sunday. So it got tiresome for her as well. So being
Hmm.
present with family is probably the biggest difference.
Hmm.
But just I feel like I just have this freedom. I feel free, like, to do what I want when I want, and it doesn't matter if it's real estate investing. I just feel like I'm available for opportunities. Whenever an opportunity arises, I feel like I'm willing to jump at it. If it's education, I'm available. I want to learn as much as I can.
Hmm.
I'm I'm a big believer in, unfortunately, that you have to learn yourself. You have to teach yourself about financial education. So, whether it doesn't matter what strategy is, if it's um, the Smith maneuver or the whole life insurance policy. There's so many different ways that, or so many different things that wealthy people use to get wealthy that the normal person isn't really, in tune with. So I'm trying to spend a lot of time just educating myself on what the wealthy people do, teaching myself that stuff. Um,
Hmm.
and I'm still doing some renovations,
Hmm.
still keeping in tune with that. So,
Hmm.
yeah, just enjoying life. Yeah. Can't wait for to go on vacation. Dying to get away.
What's your first vacation? When borders open and everything's open,
Uh,
where's your
I,
first
I'd
vacation?
like to go to I'd like to go to Costa Rica or something. Just spend some time.
Ah, my friend James Max is still going. It's going in February.
Is he?
Yeah,
He's got his own place down there, right?
yeah. He's got the 1,700 square foot semi-detached,
Nice,
2 bedroom plus loft,
nice.
300 meters from the ocean.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
We've got a couple cottages up north, so that would be my next. I'd love to get something down south on an island somewhere.
What's up north for Windsor?
Well, we actually have to. We go through Toronto, Sudbury. We have two cottages up, like, just west of Sudbury.
Isn't that far? How far
Yeah,
is that?
yeah, it's about 8 hours, 7.5 hours.
Oh boy. That's like driving to Montreal for me. I thought Windsor was far enough. Wow.
Yeah, when you're all the way down here in Windsor, you kind of get used to a 4-hour drive is nothing. So,
Mm,
driving to
interesting.
Toronto is nothing. So if you have to add 4 hours onto that, it's no big deal.
Hmm. Hey, you should have your wife listen to my episode with Ron Esteban because we actually have extensive number of teachers who are really good at stock options. I don't know what it is.
I've tried to sell her. I've tried to sell her on it. Yeah, I think she's too passive.
Did you catch the webinar with Ron that we did like what, a week or two ago?
Yes, I did. Yep.
Never
Great.
watched that because my teacher friend said
Yeah.
he's such a teacher. It's like I don't know what that means because I'm not a teacher. Maybe you teachers know what that means. Like
Right.
the level of preparation, I think, is what she meant. Like well structured preparation. Yeah, I had no idea the teachers work so hard.
Yeah. Yeah, I will.
So yeah. So what's next for you? What are the next 5 years for you? You're gonna be like David's son and have your own REIT and
I don't know.
or you're
Everyone
good.
keeps asking me that, and yeah, I mean, I want to continue to grow real estate.
Mhm.
Um, not aggressively. I don't look to like retire and then have to buy 10 properties a year and really blow this thing up. Um, I'm trying flipping, so we bought our first flip last week, and I'm gonna give that a shot, see how that
Mhm.
goes. But really, it's just slowly add to the real estate portfolio.
Mhm.
Uh, Continue learning about stock hacking and just general investing, um, and then try a flip here and there and see how that goes. But
Mhm.
long term, I don't want to say like I'm not doing anything, but I feel like I'm in a very really good spot that I don't feel like I have to aggressively. My boys are all young still, so I get to spend a lot of time with them now. I
Mhm.
think maybe in 5 years I could see myself maybe stepping up a little bit if
Mhm.
need be, and
Mhm.
just if maybe out of boredom at that point if they're more self-sufficient.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't know. Get a golf membership somewhere and golf a little bit. We'll see.
That'd be awesome. Yeah, my stock hacking's gonna pay for my golf membership. Oh, tell us about this first flip. How did you get it? Was it on MLS?
Yeah, it was on
Were you
MLS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think my realtor thought we got a really good deal on it. He said I think they listed it on a Monday and they were holding offers until Wednesday. So it didn't give anyone a whole lot of time to go through. Yeah, it was really short. And it was
Oh,
an
that's really
estate
odd
sale.
timing.
So I don't,
Oh.
yeah. So I don't know if they were just trying to get rid of it as soon as possible for some reason. I'm not sure. But I feel like I kind of benefited from that. We put an offer in and didn't think we were going to get it. And yeah, surprised us.
Gotta shoot the puck, eh?
Exactly.
Do you know how many offers were on it?
I think there was 4, which in Windsor right now is very low.
Yeah. Well, you're optimistic. Most people properties for the listeners' benefit, properties are usually listed later, midweek or later in the week, in anticipation for the weekend, which is when all the showings happen in the open houses. If it was not a pandemic, yeah, because you guys are pretty hardcore lockdown now, Windsor. And then usually offers are Monday or Tuesday, but yours is almost the opposite.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is not a best practice, but yeah, we don't know the situation of the seller. So what can you share about it? Like,
So it's a 4-bedroom, 1-bath home. So we're
okay.
converting it into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. We purchased it for 245. Comps finished when we're done. We're expecting it to be around 390 to 400,000.
So the intention is to sell. You wouldn't rent this out.
Intentions to sell. Backup plan.
How do you make the
As long
decision
as
to
the
sell
market
it?
holds. As long as the market holds where it is, we'll sell it.
Yeah. How did you make the decision to hold it versus sell it?
It's going to be about what our return is going to be when we sell. Like if we can sell it and make $30,000, then we'll sell it. Based on the numbers, we're hoping to make about $50,000 to $60,000 on it. So as long as we can make around 30, we'll probably sell it. If we don't, then we'll hold it. It'll be a good single-family home rental.
Right. Hopefully, material prices don't go nuts like they already have. No, the reason I asked was because, for example, I've had other flippers on the show, and it just seems to be the commonality with them is if it's a duplex, they'll usually hold it. If it's a single family, then they're selling it.
If I had to hold it, the property's really deep, so I would explore maybe putting in a suite in the back, an additional dwelling unit back there.
Uh-huh. How is Windsor for that? Are they open for garden suites additions for apartments?
Yeah, they are. Yep.
Oh,
They've been very accommodating. Yeah, very accommodating. It's still pretty new.
Mhm.
Like we just finished one of the additional dwelling unit in the basement, and we were one of the few that have done it legally. So it was a little bit of learning with the inspectors. You know, they were kind of learning as we were going, and
Mhm.
but yeah, they're very accommodating right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome to hear because there's so many places that are not.
right, right.
Do you know anyone who's done one yet? An exterior suite to their home in
Yes.
Windsor?
Yep. Yep. I went
Oh,
on a
really?
tour 2 weeks ago. They had an open house for investors. They
Uh-huh.
belong to that city investors group, so they had an
Mhm.
open house that they just finished it. They were having an open house for investors to come through and see it, and then I think it was an open house for potential tenants as well. Um, and it was quite impressive.
Mhm.
It was about 575 square feet, I think. It was beautiful.
Is that like the limit for size? My
You
intention
know,
would have
I'm
been
not
to be a build
100%
builder.
sure.
Yeah. Because I'd be targeting like 650 to 800 square feet. I don't know what I'm allowed. Like we're not allowed anything in the areas I invest right now, but the cost per square foot goes down as you go bigger.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the restrictions are in size. It may have had something to do with the size of the land. Wasn't the property wasn't huge.
Mhm. Interesting. Do you know what the numbers were on that? What it cost them to make, and then what they rented it for?
No, they hadn't disclosed that yet. I think they want to get into the business of actually building it for people. So I think they were coming up
Oh,
with a pricing. Like they
sweet.
were creating a business out of it.
Uh, Maybe it's a business that you opportunity for yourself too to look into if you wanted
Yep.
to. It
Yeah.
sounds like it's pretty intensive. It's an
Yeah.
intensive business,
Yeah. Yeah.
but even just for your own properties.
For sure. It is definitely something we're looking at.
Are your own properties candidates for sorry, for this 575 square foot apartment, was that the third or the second uh, new unit?
That was the second.
Okay.
Yeah. We do have a candidate. I have a candidate. Um, I've got a duplex and a two-car detached garage off the alley. So that's a candidate to turn that into something.
Nice.
Um, yeah, the rest of my properties, probably not, unless even if I was gonna build something, I think the properties are probably a little too tight. The
Mhm.
backyards aren't quite big enough for it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
No, it's definitely fascinating because it's the next phase. It's the next logical phase for us investors. Like almost everyone's doing basement apartments now, but then you know we're all being squeezed for cash flow. What's next, right? And this
right.
will provide us a lot of cash flow if you can do them.
Yeah,
But then, like, what's after that?
yeah, yeah,
It's already very capital intensive to build a garden suite, and I already joke with people. It's been a running joke in this show that I make is because all these people have gone to Windsor because they're trying to get further away from Toronto in order to find cash flow affordability. But then my joke is always, what's next after Windsor?
yeah.
You're
Detroit.
across the border, Detroit,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I don't know the difference in tenant profile because I don't know the areas at all, or the
yeah.
property values. But yeah, plus just the crossing border, doing business cross border issues. But
The logistics of that right now are not fun.
yeah, I can't imagine. But maybe that's a future opportunity you can look into too,
Potentially, yeah, yeah,
with all this extra time.
yeah.
Now, Joe, I want to ask: do your kids notice that the difference in uh, free from job Joe versus still
Yeah,
shift
yeah.
working Joe?
My oldest definitely does. I don't think the younger ones do, but my oldest definitely does. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
keep saying, even when we were still him and Han over the decision, he kept saying like, "You're not gonna have to go back, and work for electrical again, are you?" So yeah, he notices now. It's good.
And that's a 7-year-old?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, I had a friend of mine share how I forget how old his kid is now. He's getting a bit older, over 10, I think. And he mentioned to his dad how he noticed that his dad was one of the only 2 dads that made it to every single practice and every single game.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good spot to be in. Spend time with those you care about most.
Uh-huh. Are you coaching at all? Like sports?
No. I coach baseball, but we didn't have baseball this year because of COVID. But I will coach baseball. I'm not a hockey. I don't really know how to skate, so I won't be teaching anybody how to play hockey. But yeah, for baseball for sure.
Right. Yeah, because like after the pandemic's over, I imagine you're pretty busy just shuttling your kids around for this stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, we only have 2 in hockey now, and it feels like I spend my weekends at the arena already. I can't imagine a third one.
Especially if it's a goalie.
Yeah. Yeah.
For as long as possible, we're trying to keep our kids together in the same program.
Yeah, that's
at
a
the
good
same
idea.
time.
Yeah.
So my kids are in kickboxing at the same time together. So it's
Yeah.
one stop for an hour. Let's see how long it lasts. Joe, I'm going to give you the final word. Is there any... So again, for the listeners' benefit, none of our guests have their questions in advance. If they listen to this show, they have an idea of what's coming. But Joe, I want to give you the final word. If you need a suggestion, the suggestion I would say for a final word is, what would you tell 35-year-old Joe or 25-year-old Joe?
I would say, like, take responsibility for your own finances. Understand that no one's going to care for your money the way you do. That would be it.
Yeah, I practice the same. I think people can tell I control almost all of my money. I do have some passive stuff, but it's very, very, very small compared to what I actively manage myself. That's awesome, Joe. Joe, if for the listener, like, Joe doesn't have a book, he doesn't have a course, he doesn't do coaching other than baseball when it's allowed. So Joe has nothing to offer, folks. Joe, is there somewhere people can follow your story?
Snapchat. Kidding. Instagram would be Morden.
You're on Instagram?
Yeah. Morden Realty.
That's right.
Yeah. Or
real estate agents, man. I was on your Instagram the other day. It's like, you guys agents?
Or just Joe Morden on Facebook. Yeah, feel free to reach out to me anytime about any questions.
People, because realty is used so often in realtor businesses that people mistake it for a realtor term. But realty is just a one word to describe real estate. So actually, Morden Real Estate is the same thing as Morden Realty.
It's actually Morden Realty Investments.
Morden Realty Investments. Joe, congratulations on all the success. It's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
I can't imagine the feeling.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I really appreciate the podcast in general. Listening to it over the last few years, keeping me focused and giving me the opportunity to explore more things. So very appreciative of that.
No, thank you for listening. And, that's the whole point of this podcast, to inspire people to, take some control over their financial futures. Awesome. Thanks again for doing this, Joe. Have a great weekend. Hope to see you in the real world soon.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Bye.